One team finished an entire NFL season, playoffs included, with a record of 17 wins and 0 losses. Nobody has matched it since, and the quarterback who started 10 of those wins was benched before the biggest game of the year, then praised for saying almost nothing about it. Keep this in mind. Decades later, the surviving players from this team turned an old rumor about champagne and the league's last unbeaten team into one of the strangest ongoing traditions in NFL history. We are not explaining that yet. First, you need to understand what almost wrecked the perfect season from the inside. By 1972, Earl Morrall was 38 years old, a quarterback other teams had already decided did not have enough left to start. He had bounced through stops with San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and the New York Giants before Baltimore, and by the time Miami acquired him that April, the price the league put on him made the point clearly. Don Shula claimed Earl Morrall off waivers for $100. That is what the rest of professional football believed he was worth. 5 games into the season, Bob Grease, the actual starting quarterback, broke his leg and dislocated his ankle against the San Diego Chargers. A team built around a healthy Grease now had to survive with a 38-year-old some coaches considered finished. Morrall walked into the huddle in Week 5 and did not try to be Grease. He played steady, patient football, handing off constantly to Larry Csonka and Mercury Morris, who both finished the season with 1,000 rushing yards, the first pair of teammates in NFL history to do that in the same year. Teammates called him Old Man. He did not seem to mind. Miami kept winning. 4 wins with Grease became 14 wins with Morrall running the huddle, and the Dolphins finished the regular season with a record nobody in the league had touched in decades. Then came the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh, with Morrall 10-0 as a starter that year. At halftime, tied 7-7, Don Shula walked into the locker room and benched him for Grease. The man who had won every single start that season was told to sit down 2 games before the finish line. Morrall's response was not anger. Grease remembered it years later. Morrall told him, and these are the actual words, "I don't agree with you, but whatever you think is best for the team, I'll go along with it." He put on his headset, walked to the sideline, and cheered for the player who replaced him. You do not see that from a competitor at the top of his sport very often. Every year since, whenever the NFL's last undefeated team loses its first game of the season, cameras turn to the surviving members of the 1972 Dolphins, waiting for champagne. Some players, like Larry Csonka, have actually raised a glass on camera when it happens. Others, like Mercury Morris, spent years insisting there was no real toast at all, that it was closer to legend than tradition. Nobody wants to say it plainly, but the truth is simpler than either version. This team has spent more than 50 years being the answer to a question nobody else has ever gotten to answer. Here is the full number. 17 wins, 0 losses. 14 in the regular season, 3 more in the playoffs, a run that has never been repeated in over 50 years of professional football since. 17-0 from an era before the schedule even reached 17 regular season games alone, which makes the feat almost impossible to compare to anything happening in the league today. 17-0 capped by a 14-7 win over the Washington Redskins at the Los Angeles Coliseum, in front of more than 90,000 people. It nearly fell apart in the final 2 minutes. With Miami ahead 17-0 and driving for what should have been the exclamation point on the perfect season, kicker Garo Yepremian's field goal attempt was blocked. He tried to throw a pass instead of just falling on the loose ball, and Washington returned the fumble for a touchdown. The final score you actually remember from that day exists because of one strange mistake at the worst possible moment. Years later, when someone asked Earl Morrall what it actually takes to come off the bench and lead a team like that, he did not overthink the answer. When you get the chance to do the job, he said, "You have to do the job." That's all there is to it. That is the entire season in one sentence. Every year when the league's newest hopeful for a perfect season finally loses, the 1972 Dolphins get mentioned all over again, and the countdown to the next real challenger starts over. So, tell us in the comments. In a 17-game season built for parity, with players bigger, faster, and more replaceable than ever before, do you think any team will ever go 17-0 again, or is that record safe forever?